You probably clicked on this video because you're curious as to what this secret tool in the thumbnail is. A new editing keyboard that Blackmagic had given me early access to. A super fancy gaming mouse with like a million different macros on it. What is it? Well, it's time for the big reveal. What could it be? It's my hand! Wow! No, audience, no, it's not clickbait, I promise. I'm being serious, it's really gonna help you. Come back, no, I'm not trolling. Please come back, audience, come back, please. If you change what your left hand is doing during an edit session, you're gonna finish your video projects way faster. You've probably been doing this a lot. No, not buying a desk mat that gets tons of cat hair stuck in it. You're frequently moving your hand off your mouse to hit shortcuts on the right side of your keyboard. Stop doing this because it wastes time. Yeah, it might only be half a second or so, but add that up over multiple hours and days that you'll be spending at your computer, and that is going to accumulate to a lot of wasted editing time. When you could have been kicking back and killing some zombies on Resident Evil 4. Woo! Die, zombies! The ultimate way to be a fast editor is to keep your right hand glued onto your mouse and your left hand remaining on the left side of your keyboard. When you start with a new editing software, you're going to try and memorize all of the default shortcuts that it has, but a lot of these are just super inefficient. Want to go to the next edit point in your timeline? The up key, yeah, let's hit that. That's super efficient. No! It's a waste of time. Instead, just map it to your mouse's macro keys. That's much better. Want to quickly split a clip? Yeah, command backslash is super efficient. No! Efficiency level is 0 here. Map it to the S key and now you can split like you're a redneck chopping some big old logs. That's right. This whole mindset shift of restricting yourself to just the left side of your keyboard is the foundation of this whole method. From now on, these 12 keys are the new home for all of your fingers. The left ones anyway. And these 3 are going to be the ones that are sliding, or if you prefer, sensually stroking up and down your keys. Sexy. Sensual. Editing. Am I gonna get banned? It's a similar hand position to what you might be familiar with when playing a first-person shooter on your computer, with your 3 middle fingers handling all of the camera movement and your thumb and pinky doing all of the secondary actions, which is why I call this technique the eSport editor hand style. Because if you were in a speed contest with a bunch of other video editors, you would best them all to take that big-ass trophy home yourself. Yes! Nerds! Video nerds! It's mine. Just these keys alone will give you 12 shortcuts that you can move between with very little effort. Just a simple sliding hand motion, or a sexier one, if you prefer. Let's start with the left and right keys for this layout, because I think it's a lot easier to understand if you split them right down the middle. So left and right keys specifically target left and right actions within your editing software. For example, I have the 1 and 3 keys as my zoom in and out buttons. Q and E to ripple delete a clip left or right, and Z and C are to mark clips in and out. Then we've got the middle line of the keyboard, which is going to be used for your most frequent actions throughout an edit. So right at the top, we've got the 2 key, which I use to insert clips within the timeline wherever I leave my playhead. Below that, I have W to enable or disable a clip. And then the holy grail of editing, which is the S key to split or blade a clip to cut it in half. Then lastly, I've got X, which takes me back to the normal editing mode, or the select tool if you're using Final Cut. It is worth mentioning here that I do sometimes stray from these 12 keys. Same for if I want to deselect all of the clips in my timeline, I'll do this by tapping the tilde key. These are actions I don't do super often, so they don't need to necessarily live amongst the row of 12 keys that I have my fingers hovered over for about 80% of the time. So technically you can expand this 12 key range probably up to about this part of the keyboard before your hands have to do any crazy gymnastic stretching. But the proper way to expand this default set of 12 keys is by using modifiers. Because if you hold Command Shift Option individually, or you start to combine them together with Command Shift and Option Shift, you've just unlocked another 40 slots that you can add shortcuts onto. There are some caveats to this though. If you hold Command, your 3 fingers can hit all 12 keys. But holding Command and then hitting Q or W, these are both universal Mac shortcuts with no real easy way to disable them. So instead you'll just accidentally either hide or shut down your whole editing software. It's the same for the bottom row, where either Command plus Z, X or C will just perform some sort of copying action. Holding Shift is another limiting hand position, because even though you can hit most of the lower keys, your middle finger will only really be able to hit the 2 key on the top row. Or maybe not at all if you don't have particularly big hands like my hands are, normal size. You know what they say about people with normal size hands, right? They can carry a lens. they can just carry it for many hours and it'll never fall. The same goes for doing a shift option combo where even the bottom row is just really awkward to hit. And don't even think about doing command option that often, because my fingers can barely hit more than about 5-ish keys. I suggest you don't overcomplicate things too much when assigning actions to any of the modifier keys. It's going to take a lot of practice, patience, and time to remember too many shortcuts just by muscle memory. But once you do get comfortable with these default 12 keys and you want to move on and add way more shortcuts, I'd recommend starting with the left and right keys for left and right edit actions. For instance, remember when I said I had A and D for either rewinding or fast forwarding footage? Well, if I hold shift, these buttons are remapped to moving a selected clip either right or left on the timeline. And if I hold shift and hit either the W or S key, it'll move the clip either up or down within my edit, which for me is super easy to remember because these are the exact same keys that you're going to use to move a character around in a first-person shooter. Hence how I bested all of those other editor nerds. Jerks, you're so slow. Losers, you're all losers. Actually, no, you're a gamer girl. You're quite attractive. You single? I'm the champ. So keep it logical. Maybe for you, having the trim tool set on the T key is way better for you to actually remember and use consistently versus trying to remap it to any other key just because your hand has to move a little bit less. I've been editing since I was 16 years old, and this method is by far the most efficient that I've encountered. It does take some patience to get used to how you've remapped things around. So don't be shy to even remap the keyboard action shortcut to something like the tilde key, just so you can really quickly access it to remind yourself of how you've remapped everything. And so you're able to make any super quick tweaks to refine them as you go along. I'd love to try hardware tools like Blackmagic Speed Editor to see if they can even compete with a keyboard. So Blackmagic, hook me up please. Cheers, thank you. But until then, this is going to be the quickest way that you're going to be able to edit projects until AI just takes over all of our creative jobs and we're forced to work at a Sony factory giving massages to all of the assembly line robots. Is that hitting the spot, oh glorious robot?
Moral, pathetic human.
Okay, I'll just be back with some, give me a second. Hands. I'll leave my personal shortcuts for Final Cut Pro and DaVinci Resolve in the description box below that you can download for free just in case you don't want to waste time having to make them all yourself. Click here if you want to quickly level up your filmmaking skills with these 5 amazing apps. And click here to hit the subscribe button to stop the Sony robots from taking me to the assembly line. My fingers can't take it anymore. Too much oil. I hope this video was helpful to you. Thank you all so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.